Hey, and welcome back to the All My Love Lucy podcast. This is episode number 40, and we're so glad you're here with us today. As always, your support really means the world to us. We consider it such a gift that you choose to spend your time with us as we continue to uncover and honor our grandparents' extraordinary love story. We are still hoping to get back to video episodes. We are hopefully going to get back to those soon, but we do hope you're enjoying these audio episodes in the meantime. And as always, we would love to hear from you. So leave us some comments, share your thoughts, join in on the conversation. We love that. And then lastly, to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure you've subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that little notification bell so you don't miss any of our content that we upload. And if this is your first time joining us, I do always like to give a bit of context to start, just so you know what this podcast is about. Each week we share a letter written by our grandmother Lucy from London during World War II. These letters were sent to Jimmie, our grandfather, while he was serving in Europe with the U.S. Army's 50th Signal Battalion. Now, they had gotten engaged just before he left for Normandy for D-Day, and they were expecting to be married shortly after that in London before they moved to the United States. But instead, the war kept dragging on and kept them apart for nearly 2 years because Jimmie actually got shipped back to the United States before he could return to London and before they could get married. And then Lucy couldn't get across the Atlantic until much later due to all the travel restrictions and this priority for spouses and other people. So it took her a very long time to get transportation. So these letters are from that period of May of 1944 all the way through April of 1946. They give us a deeply personal window into their daily lives, their longing, their resilience, their love for one another, and all those quiet sacrifices they made during one of the most turbulent periods in history. Lucy is a very detailed writer. She is a very detailed historian, even though she wasn't trying to be. She details what life was like for civilians in London during that time. And then Jimmie's letters. We do have Jimmie's letters. We don't have a lot of Jimmie's letters, but he cannot tell us a whole lot because of the censor and his position in the war. So he does write back, and I'm really excited to say that we do have another letter coming up next time. And I always love getting those letters and from him and hearing the other side of their conversation. So that's what's next time. So as I always say, pour yourself a cup of tea or your favorite beverage, grab a blanket, get cozy, and let's step back into 1944 with Lucy. October 19th, 1944. My darling Jimmie, I received your lovely letter this morning, the one in which you said you had been good since the 4th of May. It made me so happy and proud of my darling that I just took another look at your picture and gave you a big kiss. Darling, I am just longing for the time when we can be together again. So Lucy opens the letter here with the warmth and affection that we are so familiar with. If you've been with us for any amount of time, then you know she always starts her letters this way, just letting him know that she has gotten a letter. She's been so excited to get the letter, that she's been waiting for a letter. She's always pouring out this warmth and affection. The reference that she makes here that he said about being good since May 4th is really sweet because that was actually the day they got engaged in London. So if you've been with us, you probably know that already, but that was the day they got engaged, and he had said that in the last letter that we read a couple weeks ago. So she's responding to that letter, and you can really feel her pride and excitement because I've said this before recently that I feel like she's trying to pull information out of him. She's trying to get him to give her reassurance. She's over here really pouring her soul out to him every single letter. And he doesn't write a whole lot. And I know I've said this before. Part of that is because he's a man, and men just in general are not as detailed and maybe as free with their emotions, especially not a soldier during World War II. I cannot imagine that a lot of them were very open and with their emotions as much as she is here, how she demonstrates hers. So part of that's that. And I think she's trying to just really pull things out of him so that she can get her reassurance that he still feels the same way about her that she does about him. So she's really, really excited for him to say that. You can really feel her pride and her excitement about that he told her he's been good since they got engaged. And it's just a very intimate moment here. She looks at his picture, tells him she's giving it a big kiss. Just a very tender, relatable moment. But yeah, it's very profound because of the distance between them at this moment in time. Her longing for him is very palpable here. We can really feel that here. Even those small gestures like kissing his photo became that way for her to bridge that ocean and bridge that separation or that gap between them during this time. So it's a reminder that her love and their love persists in these quiet, small acts. Very simple, kissing a photo just doesn't seem like a lot, but these things might seem ordinary, but they mean everything when taken in context. She goes on to say, last night I was just getting into a nice hot bath when the siren wailed and a doodlebug went off a long way off, so I did not stop long enough to soak. Tonight I'm fire watching and we had an alert at 8:30, but we did not hear any explosions. So here Lucy gives us a slice of daily life during wartime London. She is in the middle of something comforting. She's taking a bath. She's trying to relax. She's been at work all day. She's tired. And then the reality of the war intrudes. This doodlebug that she talks about hearing. We've talked about these for a long time, probably the entire time at this point, because they started coming on the scene in June of 1944. I think we only had maybe 1 or 2 letters before that in May. So we've been talking about these Doodlebug V1 flying bombs for the entire time that we've done this podcast. If you do not know what they are at this point, we do have a couple of episodes. I might try to link one of them where we really go into detail about these if you're interested, so you can learn all about them. But they are those flying bombs that sounded like a motorbike and the engine would sputter. And then when that engine would stop, it meant that it was going to drop to the ground. And you had 12 seconds from the time that engine shut off to take cover. So very terrifying situation. While there's no record of a major bombing right there where Lucy lived from a V1 flying bomb, even hearing one in the distance could be obviously terrifying. And you think about living in a 4-story flat building, like apartment building, you know that could be terrifying because of the effects of the bomb. You don't know how far that's going to affect structures. So that even could be terrifying to think what it could do to your building where you are, even though it doesn't land on you. So I did find a map though. I was trying to look and see if I could find any information about this particular night. This would have been the night before this letter, which was October 18th, 1944. I was trying to find any kind of record of a Doodlebug landing somewhere nearby Hampstead, and I couldn't find anything. So that's good that it didn't land close to her. But I found this map, which was very, very interesting. Now, if you're only listening on audio and you don't have a video in front of you, just go back if you can. I'm going to pop this up, even though we're not doing video. I'm going to show you this map that I came across. Okay, so this map is from the London Archive. I had to actually purchase it because it's got these copyrights and everything. So I made sure that I went through all the right channels and got all the right permissions to use this, because this is a very detailed map of all the bombing that went on around where Lucy lived. Okay, so the yellow sections is blast damage, minor in nature. So that might be those incendiary bombs that were put out quickly. The orange is general blast damage, not structural. The light red, and I'm guessing this is this pink color, that was seriously damaged but repairable at cost. The dark red is seriously damaged, doubtful if repairable. The purple is damaged beyond repair. And then the black areas are total destruction. So you can see all around Lucy's flat here. And also the circles here, the maps show the impact points of the V1 Doodlebug flying bombs and the V2s that are now, at this point in time, they're coming on the scene. And so the V1 Doodlebugs are the large circles, and those are right here. I'm going to show you those. And then the small circles are the V2s. So there was a lot going on around within walking distance of where Lucy lived. And so I just wanted to show you that. I thought that was really interesting, and really gives you a good visual of what she was actually experiencing, even though she was in Hampstead, which is North London. She wasn't in central London where most of the damage was done, closer to there. but she was still affected by this. And so I did want to give you a visual of that, even though we are only doing audio, but I thought this is important to show. So I hope you enjoyed looking at that. That gives you an idea of what she's facing here. For context, Hampstead residents there where Lucy lived were used to the unpredictability of these flying bombs. They carried nearly 2,000 pounds of explosives, and even if one didn't land really close by, the blast radius could still shake houses and shatter windows. So when Lucy says it went off a long way off, the reason she's like, I didn't stay in long to soak, I got out, and that's because that could still mean a real threat to you, even though it didn't land really close to you. And there's something really understated here about her description. She doesn't panic. She simply leaves the bath and gets on with her evening responsibilities, probably gets prepared if she needs to leave or if she needs to take cover. She's like, I can't sit here and soak in this bathtub any longer. I've got to get up and do something. That calm, measured tone really speaks to her resilience and the resilience of Londoners during that time. This also speaks to her strength. I really admire her. She was brave, strong, resilient, so many things. Fire watching, staying alert, continuing on with her life. It was all a part of living during that time, living during the war. And through these letters, she really, really takes us there, takes us back to that time. And we really get a sense of what it was like to live during that time. And she does all of this without losing her sense of care and connection to Jimmie. She still treats him as if he's there with her by these letters and keeping her connected to him. She goes on to say, I'm so glad you're keeping fit. I expect it must be very cold where you are, so do take care of yourself. We have had a lot of rain here this week and it's been very cold. I cannot write more as it is my turn to make some tea. Now, Lucy's concern for Jimmie is always, always so thoughtful. In London, the weather in mid-October was cool and rainy, the kind of damp chill that really gets into your bones. We talked about that last time, how she was, even though the coal is rationed, she was getting by that fire and she was having her cocoa. She's just really explaining to us what the weather was like and the temperature and what it felt like. And she's projecting that care across the ocean to Jimmie, who was also, and we know this from last time, we talked in detail about the cold, wet, muddy conditions that he was facing in Germany, living in tents, having to deal with all they were dealing with and driving through the mud and the muck. The cold wasn't just uncomfortable. It could also make soldiers sick and add to their fatigue and make life physically harder and miserable. And so you can see the contrast here. Lucy is having to make tea, which I'm pretty sure she's just fire watching, and they would take turns to make tea and they would take turns sleeping because, she had a partner. We learned that several episodes ago, that they would pair up in their neighborhoods to take these rotations for the fire watching duties. So they were likely up high, either on the top floor or even on the roof. I don't think it doesn't sound like she was on the roof here, but they would have to be up at a high point so they could see out over the neighborhood and really keep an eye out for anything that might fall close by. And so she's showing a little bit of contrast here. She's making tea. She's got that small routine. And then Jimmie, on the other hand, he's experiencing the same season under much harsher conditions, carrying heavy equipment, standing guard, doing all the things he's doing, dealing with all those challenges of life over there and right behind the front lines. Yet through this letter here, they share that season together. They're sharing their lives together through these letters, through their words, through their care, through the attention that they give each other. And I just think that's really amazing and so, so special. She closes the letter with, "Good night, my dear love, and God bless you. With all my love from your Lucy." She always closes this letter with that ritual of loving care, always kind of tucking him in across the ocean. It's ordinary yet extraordinary at the same time. It's that quiet endurance that she gives in every letter. I think I said this last time. That must feel really comforting to him to get those letters and for her to kind of repeat some of the same things. It makes it probably feel steady to him, that their love is steady, that their connection is steady. And so I really love how she gives him that and maintains that for him every time. It's very important to her to be that steadiness for him and that calm for him. And sometimes she's funny and makes him laugh, I'm sure. And so that's what makes these letters so powerful to us, is that small, consistent acts of care that she gives, the thoughtfulness that persists quietly, even when both their circumstances are extreme. She's hearing bombs dropping and he's over there in the middle of it. So they're both in these situations in this life, and these letters, they're these small, consistent acts of care that keep them connected. And I just think it's so amazing and it's so special. Now, as we close out this letter, we see Lucy's love expressed in the ordinary, everyday moments: concern for his health, the weather updates, making tea, telling him about fire watching, her gentle goodnight to him. Even when life is interrupted by the war, she still maintains the connection, the intimacy, and the normalcy wherever she can. This letter reminds us that love isn't always about grand gestures. And I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but it's often in the quiet, consistent acts of care and thoughtfulness and just presence, especially in times of uncertainty. Next time, we will share another letter from Jimmie, like I said in the beginning, and really excited about that. He doesn't share a whole lot. He doesn't give a lot of detail like Lucy does, but it's always nice to hear the other side of the conversation. It's nice to hear him respond to certain things she's asked, and then for him to ask her things. I love getting his letters. And so the takeaway today, I just want to always try to give you a challenge and a takeaway from these letters, is that love and care are most powerful when they persist quietly. Even in the midst of uncertainty or hardship, small gestures, and I think we've kind of had this theme the past several episodes, that small gestures go a long way. A note, a text, a thoughtful word, a simple ritual can carry enormous meaning to those that you love. So the challenge for this week is: notice the small ways you can offer steadiness and comfort to someone in your life. It could be a short message. I've been encouraging you to write a letter, send a text message, call someone. It could be a shared routine, or simply being fully present in a conversation. When's the last time you really listened to what someone was saying? Take one intentional action this week that shows someone you really, really care. Even when your life might be hectic or uncertain, or even their life is hectic or uncertain, especially if theirs is, now's a perfect time to be really intentional with an action that shows that you care. So I challenge you to do that this week. And I hope you've been doing these challenges. I hope you found these challenges to be beneficial or rewarding in some way, and that your relationships are growing because of it. If there's anything that we can learn from Lucy, it is to always show up. It is to be there for the ones that you love, even if you have a lot going on around you. Always make time for those people and show that you care. Now, if this love story resonates with you and you want to continue walking through these letters with us, again, I said this in the beginning, but make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future episodes or content that we post. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. On those platforms, we post a little bit more personal information, some photos from the archive of their lives. And then we also, if we need to tell you something like there's a delay or something's going on, then we will post that there. So if you want to find us there, All My Love Lucy podcast. And thank you for being here. Again, thanks for listening, and thanks for taking the time to sit with Lucy and Jimmie and hear about their lives. And as always, we'll leave you now with an uninterrupted reading of this letter. So until next time, enjoy. October 19th, 1944. My darling Jimmie, I received your lovely letter this morning, the one in which you said you had been good since 4th of May. It made me so happy and proud of my darling that I just took another look at your picture and gave you a big kiss. Darling, I'm just longing for the time when we can be together again. Last night, I was just getting into a nice hot bath when the siren wailed and a doodlebug went off a long way off, so I did not stop long enough to soak. Tonight, I'm fire watching and we had an alert at 8:30 but did not hear any explosions. I'm so glad you're keeping fit. I expect it must be very cold where you are, so do take great care of yourself. We have had a lot of rain here this week and it's been very cold. I cannot write more now, as it is my turn to make some tea. Good night, my dear love, and God bless you. With all my love, from your Lucy.